Think back to your childhood when life was fun and easy. Think about all the fun and funny times you had with your family. Now take a second and imagine what life would be like without a family. I don't know what it's like to not have parents, but I can only imagine it must suck. With no one to count on to be there for them, there are over 563,000 children in the U.S. alone in need of a home. Hi, my name is Hope Martin, and today I'm going to be talking about adoption and why you should be considering to adopt a child. We will be learning about how adoption is beneficial to three types of people, why open adoption is encouraged, and the overall adoption process. The first thing we are going to cover is how beneficial adoption can be. Adoption is beneficial to three types of people: couples wanting to become parents, birth parents who are not ready to raise a child alone, and of course, the adopted children who need a safe and loving environment. Most people work in hopes of one day starting their own family. Some achieve these goals while others have difficulties and are unable to conceive a child of their own. With the inability to have a child of their own, there is always the choice of adoption. Adoption will benefit them in the way that they can have a child to share their lives with and love for the rest of their lives. You can still benefit from adoption even if you are able to have children. You may just want another child, which is perfectly okay. You could just want to help someone in need. Adoption benefits the birth parents in great amounts. Unexpectedly learning that you're pregnant may be scary and stressful. You may think about it as the world is ending. A baby could put a stop to the important things, such as your education, your career, and goals that you have for yourself in the future. Adoption is also a good plan if the birth parents are not financially stable. They could put the child up for adoption. With putting the child up for adoption, it is ensuring the birth parents that the child will be put in a loving home with a couple who has always dreamed about being parents. It also benefits the child being adopted. It gives them a loving environment to spend the rest of their lives in. They also get a set of parents who will love and support them for the rest of their lives. They will be put in with a family that they can rely on and love. Adoption helps a lot of people, and it shows a lot of love. There are two types of adoption: an open adoption and a closed adoption. An open adoption is when the birth parents have rights to come visit their child on days they make an appointment. A closed adoption is the exact opposite, and the birth parents get no rights to see their child at all once the child is adopted. An open adoption gives the birth parents a chance to be a part of their child's life. It will help the child cope with their birth parent decision on choosing a better life for their child. It also helps the child learn where they came from. Many children ask themselves, "Who do I look like? Why did my birth mother give me up? And what are my birth parents like?" An open adoption answers all these questions and many more. With the child knowing all this information, it is proven that they will grow up with better mental health than they would if they were constantly wondering and searching for the information. With the birth parents being in the child's life, it only provides them with more love. Open adoption will help the birth parents' ultimate decision. Most of the time, birth parents simply just want to see that their child is doing okay and that they're in a happy environment and are loved by their foster adoptive parents. The adoption process starts with your family. You need to make sure that your family is ready and prepared for another member. You need to decide what child you want. Like, do you want a baby or an older child? Do you want it adopted domestically or internationally, privately or through the state's foster system? And do you want an open or closed adoption? You then are going to want to pick which adoption agency you will be adopting from. There are different agencies with different children and prices. You then need to become an active family. You'll need a home study where they take an in-depth look into your lives and interview the members of your family. They will do a home inspection to make sure the surrounding and people are fit for the child. You then wait for the perfect adoption opportunity. Some waiting periods can be difficult and stressful for the adoptive families, so it is very important to take the opportunity when it comes your way. You then need to communicate with the birth parents before the adoption. They will want to meet you and make sure that you're a good fit for their child, because they only want what's best for their child, and they want to make sure that you can and will provide everything that they cannot. Finalizing the adoption is the next step taken in the adoption process. They make everything final, including all the legal documents. Last but not least, participating in the post-placement plan. This is when the adoption is done and the birth parents are interested in seeing pictures and updates of their child. You have to send them pictures and letters ensuring that they picked the right home. These pictures and letters updates usually go on until the child is 18 years of age. Depending on how the adoption is, you could also allow your child to email, call, Skype, and even visit their birth parents. Here are some facts you may or may not have known about adoption. According to the AdoptionNetwork.com, adults can be adopted too. In some states, the only rule for adoption is the adoptive parent has to be 10 years older than the adoptee. There are many different laws that you have to follow for adoption. However, laws vary from state to state. Over the past decade, adoption rates have been on a steady decline. On average, a child will spend about 32.2 months in foster care awaiting adoption. 55% of these children have had 3 or more placements within the foster care system. 32% of the children had changed elementary schools more than 5 times. Birth parents have the most control over the adoption. They are the ones who get to choose the adoptive family. They are also the ones who get to decide if the adoption is opened or closed. Now that you know how adoption is beneficial, why open adoptions are encouraged, and the process, I hope you consider and encourage others to adopt a child. They really need your help. It could give you a chance to love others and help someone in need. Thank you for listening.